Now I have with me Shivam Singh, advocate who's at Supreme Court, and Srinivas Kodali, researcher with Freeman Software Movement of India. Thank you for joining me today. I'll start with you, Shivam. The new IT rules mandate traceability. What does this mean for end users and their right to privacy? Will there still be a legal process, or is it free access for the government?
Simply put, it means that end-to-end encryption would result in WhatsApp changing its complete messaging architecture. Right now, when we have end-to-end encryption, it means that the provider neither knows the sender nor the content. The government wishes to change it and undo it on grounds of national security. Now, the IT Act does not provide for traceability in terms of the provisions itself, but the new draft rules which have come out about 3 months ago, they now have this requirement. So the government is trying to do indirectly what it could not achieve directly, because this is not provided in the parent statute or the parent legislation. And they're doing this to bring about a change at the expense of WhatsApp and all its users. So this is a case which should have all of us worried.
Right. I'll go to Srinivas now. Srinivas, what does breaking end-to-end encryption mean for alternatives like Signal and Telegram that have been widely suggested as alternatives to WhatsApp?
Hi, Rubina. I don't think I can hear you, but let me just come to the issue at hand. What they're trying to do essentially is break encryption at large. But if you look at the history of encryption itself, government had monopoly on cryptography and encryption. Right. And it was in the 90s that we were able to get encryption to the rest of the world when internet was exported across the world. Now, this kind of fight between people and nation states has already taken place in the US in the early 90s, when the US government was trying to get its own Clipper chip, which allowed only US government to break encryption and nobody else. But however ideal this might be, hackers easily broke it.
But
so if you weaken the encryption in any layer,
right,
even to bring first originators to find some first originator messages.
Srinivas, but what does it mean for Signal and Telegram now, since end-to-end encryption can be broken? How will those apps be affected?
I don't think Signal's going to implement this. See, we must understand that WhatsApp uses Signal protocol. And if you send a legal notice to Signal asking for data to be shared, all Signal can provide you is the first day you signed up to Signal and the last day you were active on Signal. Everything else is encrypted. And especially in the case of disappearing messages, Signal deletes this data. Like, they don't retain it. For you to find out this first originator messages, you will have to retain this data forever. And that's not good for us or for the companies. We want the companies to collect minimum data. Like, we want them to delete it. But the government's now saying, collect more data and share it with me. Right. That's not good.
Shivam, is there a precedent for WhatsApp fighting the Brazilian government over encryption? Does WhatsApp have grounds to go up against the IT rules in India, or is WhatsApp just buying time?
I think WhatsApp is an excellent case in this regard, because what the government needs to show are 4 things. 1, that there is a legitimate aim. 2, there's suitability. 3, there's necessity. And 4, there's balancing. This is as per the 2017 Puttaswamy decision, which upheld the right to privacy. The biggest difficulty for the government comes at the stage of necessity, where it needs to demonstrate as to how there is no lesser restrictive mechanism for doing this. The government needs to show that it has done all and everything that it could do, and it still could not arrive at this solution. Therefore, it is breaking this end-to-end encryption or asking the service provider to do it in this regard. The only difficulty which WhatsApp will face in terms of the interim relief is that it's coming to court after the expiry of the 3-month period. And the government can say, look, they had no urgency, and therefore this is an academic exercise. But if WhatsApp can prove that there is still urgency associated with it, then WhatsApp is an excellent case to succeed in this regard.
Right. Coming back to you, Srinivas, is there any technological way to still offer equivalent privacy while complying with the traceability requirement?
See, all of this technology systems took 50 years to be developed. It started in the 70s. Okay, this industry evolved over time. You want to bring in a new industry standard, which will do a fair balancing act, give us 50 more years. Maybe then, yes. There are new forms of cryptographic systems that are coming up in terms of quantum cryptography, which can break encryptions, which can do a bunch of things, but it'll take its own decades to evolve. So my answer is that there is no technology way that you could do this balancing act.
Right. Thank you both for so much for joining us. Thank you for coming on the show.